So we've got some neat things to go through today. I'm going to start off in our ticket section here. We actually released a few things here on this screen. One is just right here. We have a column that now you can see running timers. You can see how long things have been worked on, but you can also customize these columns. So now you can really, you have a lot more control over this page to see exactly what you want to see right off the bat. So this was a pretty fun release. The other thing that we've added to tickets is, let's see, if we go to the admin section and ticket preferences, you can now choose, let me get there really quickly here. If we go to preferences and it's in additional settings, you now have the ability to specify. So if someone were to respond to a ticket, basically like a new ticket would open. Now you have the ability to go in here and you can say, if it's been longer than this amount of days, instead of like reopening that ticket, let's just go ahead and split it and open a new ticket. Like it'll reference it, but you can say after this amount of time, let's go with a new ticket. So that's been really helpful, and it can definitely help clean up the queue. Okay, let's see, what else do we have on the list? Oh, other things with tickets. So with ticket automations, we've added a new action item. So if you go to a new ticket automation, you now, after a condition is met, you have the ability to send a text message, which is very cool and was highly requested. What's next on the list? Okay, let's go over to policies. I'm just going to grab any policy here. You'll see here, you can now override the low hard drive space alert. So this is big. So by default, it was 15%, and this wasn't really editable. Now you can edit it not only on a policy level, but you can do it on an asset level as well. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'll show you on an asset level how you can do this as well. And the reason you can do it on an asset now instead of just on a policy is maybe only one device on that entire policy. So instead of having to create a whole new policy for one device, you can now go in and you can just adjust it from an asset level. So this is super helpful. In addition to kind of this override option, we have added the ability to basically report against that. So you can easily see any assets now that have an override applied to them. And as we continue to add different alerts that have override capabilities, of course, this report will grow, but it's nice to be able to just quickly reference that now. Let's see here. You can now access our Help Center articles and submit a ticket to support more easily. So like we have this new help option here. So you can search different things, or you can just contact us straight from within the app, which is helpful. And then another setting that we have added to the admin section, we go over here, let's go back to the admin section, and I'll go to some invoice preferences. So if we head a little bit down to invoice preferences, and again, it's on additional settings here, you now have the ability to disable all payments via the customer portal. But in addition to that, you can disable them for specific customer types. So you can create custom fields that are either, I think we figured out it's either checkbox or drop down. So for example, you could create a payment type custom field for a customer and say, I want to only disable the payment that people use credit cards. I don't want them to be able to pay with a credit card from the portal or something like that. So you have the option to have some pretty good granular control over those payments from the portal. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Ian.
Awesome. Okay, so the next thing is we made it so that invoices and estimates can have a name. So what's cool about that is, first of all, you'll see on the right-hand side here, there's Invoice Name. So if we add a name there, then if we go back to the invoice index page, oh, also you can include it on the PDFs here. So there's a new tag that we've added to our template here, Invoice Name, and then the name is testing, and that's on the right-hand side. But if you go back to the invoice index page, you can also see in the list of invoices, you can see the name there in the column, which is nice. In addition to that, it can show up in the customer portal so they can see the name of the invoice. So pretty straightforward, but useful. Okay, the next thing is we've added an option to automatically resolve agent offline and a few other default triggers. So if you go to your policy, which Crystal is showing here, you can see that some of these alerts have an auto resolve checkbox now. And that is cool because what it does is it basically checks to see if the issue resolved itself. So if it checks and an antivirus is installed now, then it will just get rid of the alert for you. For the agent offline one in particular, you can override that to have it do it at a certain time, amount of time. So that is pretty cool. And a lot of people requested that. Hopefully it makes it so that it's less work for you to get rid of those alerts that commonly pop up. Let's see here. The next thing is ticket timers. So what's cool is now in this drop down, there's this all timers button, and it leads you to a page where you can view all of the running ticket timers, which is super helpful. You can just kind of see what everybody's doing. It also helps you find ones that have been running for a long time on accident, like this one, 4,317 hours, and that's how you know one of our devs was testing something. Okay, next, mobile apps. So we made some serious upgrades to the Syncro mobile apps. We added scripts and offline online indicators, and you can now see a screenshot of the machine. It does not have remote access yet. We were close to including that, but it's not ready yet. So now there's a lot more stuff you can do in regards to the RMM in there, which is awesome. Okay, invoices. So as you know, in your recurring invoices, you have like different line items that are tied to products in your inventory, right? And so what happens is you might update your pricing in your inventory, but your recurring invoices still have the same price for the line items. So you're actually not charging your current pricing. So we added a new checkbox here, which is at the bottom, keep prices in sync with products if they change. So what this does is if you check that checkbox, and let's say you go and you were charging $99 a month per endpoint to your clients, and now you charge $129. If that checkbox is checked, once you change the pricing in the inventory item, it will automatically sync it to all of your recurring, well, actually to this recurring invoice, but if you check it with all of them, then it'll do to all of them. So that should hopefully save you some time and prevent you from undercharging your clients. Let's see here. What's next? SMS messaging. It used to be limited to, I think, 140 characters. Now it can send longer ones than 140 characters. So hopefully you can get more full messages to your clients, and that should help out a little bit. Huntress Labs. So for those of you that know Huntress Labs, they're like a additional security agent that you can install, and it finds all kinds of potential threats, and it's complementary to your antivirus. Lots of people have said they really like it. We met these folks at a conference and they were really cool, so we decided to make an integration with them. And what this does, once you enter your Huntress account key, it will add a new script to your script library called Huntress Deployment, and that will enable you to deploy the Huntress agent to that endpoint, or whichever endpoint you want. And then we can get alerts when issues are detected. So pretty cool. Crystal, over to you.
Yep. Awesome. Okay, thank you. Let's go back over to a policy here. We have added, so we've always had an uninstall code for basically to make sure that your end users are not just uninstalling Syncro. But now, instead of having it globally, it's now on a policy level. So you can either require a code or not now, and so you have a little bit more control as to who needs a code and who doesn't. And then the other thing, so we're constantly making improvements to our security groups. And so on this latest release, if you head over to security groups here, and I'll just click into one, you'll see now that for assets, it's now, it resembles tickets and invoices and things. So it's not just edit, delete, it's also create. So this has to be selected if you want your technicians or any user in Syncro to be able to basically create an asset, which means grab also an agent installer as well. So just to be aware of that security setting change. And then a few other things that we've added, which I really like. If you head over to scripts on an asset level, there's a few things here to just make note of. One, if an actual script, if it errors, it now has an error badge, because it used to just, it basically was either there was a success or failure. So now you have an error also with the additional text here, but there's a specific badge for it, which is nice. The other thing that we made a little bit more clear too here, it now says script output. I think it said view details before, so it wasn't necessarily clear that that was going to be the output of the script. So we have kind of cleaned that up a bit. And then also the other thing, anytime if you were to run this internal reboot script, it didn't show up in the history here. So we've added this now to show up in a history so you can see when that has ran. All right, back over to Ian.
Cool. One thing just to elaborate a little bit on the script output. So one little, I think a lot of people don't know about this, but in your script, if you use an exit code or a return code, it depends which programming language you're talking about, but in PowerShell, I think it's exit. In exit, you can do exit 0, and that means success, or you can do exit 1, which means failure, and exit 2 is like error, right? So that's how you can do that. So if you detect that something bad happens, you can return whichever exit code you want on purpose. So that's cool. Okay, moving on. Policies. You can now pass command line arguments through the system tray. So if you go down here to the bottom and we go and we add a new system tray menu item for command prompt. So, you know, the menu title might be like, this is basically any command you want your clients to be able to run whenever they want. So clean recycling bin, for example. And Crystal's typing, so I actually would have to tell her what it is. But it's RD and then space. It's a bunch of stuff. Before, you couldn't put command line parameters in here. Now you can, and they will work. And that is cool, because now you can actually do a command that will clean the recycling bin instead of just running an executable. Yes, good job. Those were the command line fun stuff. Yes. Okay, next, RMM alerts. So these are now sorted chronologically with the newest ones on top. There's also a new column in the assets and RMM list for alerts, so you can see how many alerts are open for each asset very easily. So this didn't exist before. You can customize these columns here in this asset page. There's a new one called alerts that Crystal is showing, and that is on the right-hand side here, and it's a number, and you can see that 3 badge, for example, on that demo Windows 10 1 machine. And if you actually click that badge, it will bring you to the page where you can see the RMM alerts for this asset. So that's pretty nifty. Let's see. Search all the things. Okay, so search all the things on top. Now the results will include Help Center articles. Folks asked for this, and it just makes it easier to find the help that you need. Okay, subscriptions. So we added a confirmation page switching between Syncro plans. This is not really a feature, but people were switching back and forth between their subscription plans, between like the MSP plan and the higher or lower tiers, and it was just doing it. Which is fine. I mean, you clicked the button to switch subscriptions, but we wanted to make sure that there was a confirmation thing. So there is now a confirmation page, so you will not accidentally switch plans. Okay, Crystal, over to you.
Perfect. And yeah, and a couple, this one too that I'm going to talk about, there's not a lot to show here, but if you do have WorldPay set up, it's one of our payment processors that we integrate with. We have cleaned up the UI a ton. So my understanding is that if there was like a failed payment attempt, basically we would list that here in the customer detail page, and we would list every single time it reran and failed. So now we've just cleaned that up so it just does the latest so that there's just not a mess of information on your pages. So we've cleaned that up quite a bit. The other thing to note here, I can show this one. If you go back to your App Center and go to Cloudberry, we have added a link here as well for image-based backups. So it used to just be file-based. There's now an option for image-based. And then lastly here, before we kind of open it up, MCSoft's pricing is now $1 an endpoint. So it used to be tiered pricing, starting at $1.50 an endpoint, and it is now $1 an endpoint, no matter how many endpoints you have. Obviously, in addition to all of these amazing new features, I mean, our dev team has just been crushing bugs left and right. Like if you look at our release notes, there is just like a super long list of all of our bug fixes as well. So you can reference that, in the release notes articles that you've probably been receiving, or on our blog that is kept to date and has a lot of information too. Everything that we actually have talked about today, you'll be able to easily access that from the blog as well. But from here, I guess, Ian and I will kind of start looking through the Q&A and the chat box and go through some questions. Let's see here. There's a lot. I need to catch back up because I haven't been looking here. I don't know if you're ready to go on any of these.
I can start on some.
Okay.
Digitally signed PowerShell scripts anytime soon. Yeah, I mean, I've heard some people ask about that. It's not really necessary. If I think it would be nice, but it doesn't actually give us any extra like security or anything. If you can run a PowerShell script on the machine, it doesn't matter if it's digitally signed, because that means you already have access. So, and we overwrite the scripts every time we run them. So it's not like they can like fake or forge the script. That being said, I would like to put it in there. It's always good to digitally sign stuff. In this particular case, it doesn't give us much extra security, but I have already talked to the dev team about it, and that's something that we would like to do. But I don't have a timeline on that. It is on their radar though. Let's see here. Dave Evans, better data export options. It's really hard to get valuable data out of Syncro into Excel when you can't select what you want. You just get everything. Sure. I mean, I think if you can tell us what you're looking for, then maybe we can work on that. The API has access to everything, and you can pick exactly what you want. Obviously, you have to know how to work with the API, but that is there, and it works really well. Let's see. Crystal, you got any you want to address?
Yeah, Roger, I was just going to address yours, and any questions are fine. So yeah, this is great. The question is, can you easily change a monitored device to a different customer? And you absolutely can. You can edit your asset from here, and you can just change the customer. It's pretty quick and easy there. Regarding Adrian's question, is there a public roadmap? So we don't currently have a public roadmap. I think that would take a full position to be able to keep that up to date with the amount of things that we release on a weekly, monthly basis. But nothing's private, so if you have any questions, we're happy to talk through. I mean, if we know something's coming, we'll let you know for sure. And then the other thing, I skipped one from Adrian. When saving a PDF copy of an invoice, the default name is the invoice large.pdf. Oh, is it possible to get that changed? I don't think that's customizable right now, but I think that's reasonable to bring up to the dev team.
Yeah, we could even sanitize the invoice name now that invoice names exist.
Mm-hmm.
and then we could use that as the name. That could be
Okay.
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Will there ever be a non-technical staff account? In my case, I was hoping to have an account that could only access inventory naming and item creation. So yeah, this concept comes up a lot. I would separate this into two separate parts. One is, can they do stuff in the app? So it's a functionality question. Crystal, if you can pull up security groups, we do have the ability to like a pretty solid extent, decide what people can and can't do. So you can create different security groups and put different people in those security groups, and then this will dictate what they can and can't do in the app. Now, as far as pricing, there's nothing on the horizon as far as like changing pricing for like a specific user or something like that. But from a functionality perspective, I think you can already do that. Let's see. Mac OS timeline is MDM integration roadmapped. So somebody asked in the earlier, I think, if we have a Mac agent. We do have a Mac agent in beta, and people have been using it for a while. It's probably going to stay in beta until we have MDM integrated. I think that's a can of worms, and we are looking into it, but I don't want to make any promises because we're pretty early in that investigation. So we are looking into that, but I don't have like a roadmap because it's the more like exploring phase of that. And no, we're not going to work on Linux till after we're like real happy with Mac, if ever. I don't want to rule it out, but it's definitely, I don't think that's a 2019 thing. Linux support. Let's see.
A couple of
You want to
things.
take some of these?
Yep, I can look at a couple of these because I think we can address a couple at a time here. So I'm just going to grab a ticket here, because one of the questions from Randy is invoice line items to include the service date for any time items. Currently, it just shows duration, but not the date the service was done. I think you can actually add that tag, Randy. I might write that down. But what he's kind of referencing is that, like, if you view the log here, it'll just say, I guess, here, I'll show it this way. If I stop the timer here, and then we add or view charges here. Oh, I didn't charge the time here. This is the second question, sorry. The next question on the list, to add billable time from a ticket, is on that ticket timer entry, you charge the time. So you actually, it doesn't charge the time by default. You go in here and hit charge time, and now that'll be a labor line item on the ticket that's considered a pending ticket charge. So from here, you can see this is the default information that does go over to the invoice as a line item.
Yep.
So Randy, I might need a little bit more information on currently.
I think I know what Randy wants to do.
Okay, go ahead.
I think he wants to customize the ticket, and Randy, you can let us know if I'm wrong. I think he wants to customize the line item on an invoice so that it shows when the labor was done. So he wants the timestamp basically like on that line item description. And you can do that if you go under ticket preferences. Yeah. And then if you go to additional settings, and then if you scroll down, there's customized text for ticket timer charges. And if you click that I next to that, the upper, yeah. So if you scroll down here, you'll see that you can, there's all these tags that you can include. So one of the tags is ticket timer, date, and times. There's also like ticket timer, date, and start time. You can include these in the in that text box. So if you go back to the settings page, so you can include these in here. So you can completely customize the line item to show exactly what you want it to say, and it can include the date and time, and you can change the format and all that. Is that what you were hoping to have, Randy? we can move on and we'll wait for him to respond. If you want to take another one, Crystal.
Okay. Then the next one is there a way to delete old script history? So I believe you're just meaning from an actual asset, and I don't believe so. We can look at it really quick. I don't think there's like a setting to just go in and kind of wipe on a time basis, but I don't know if you went into these individually. Like, oops, I hit the wrong button. You go into these. I don't think you can delete script history. I don't think so. Let's see. Do commands you run from Syncro icon run as user or system? I believe user. Like if the command line from the system tree icon, Ian.
Yeah, I think it's run from the Syncro service, which would be run as the system user.
Okay.
Now scripts, you can choose with scripts if you want it to run from the user or the system, but I'm pretty sure the system tray icons, I could be wrong. I think they run as system.
Is the report showing all customer assets and details out of beta yet? Not quite yet, Ken. We're waiting on a few additional Windows information to be put into that report, but it should be out soon. Let's see. Only showing. Can you make invoice advanced search permanently showing like ticket grouping? I'm not sure if I understand that, Jens. Okay, so a couple of these for sure, good feature requests. Yeah, so we are constantly improving our mobile app. And so like Ian said, this last release doesn't quite have the remote session within the actual app itself. However, we will be working on that. Let's see. Are you going to talk about any future items for Syncro, i.e. roadmap? Do you want to take that one, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, we're working on a million things. One that somebody mentioned was WebRoot. So we are working on WebRoot. It's being tested, and I don't have an exact date, which is what somebody asked for, but it will be out soon, like not 3 months from now. And that will be exciting. That's probably like one of the big ones that is fun that we can talk about, because lots of people have asked for that. If you're interested in any particular feature, I'm happy to tell you if it's on the roadmap or not. But yeah.
John wants, can you show a search that displays all displays all devices that don't have Syncro supported MAV MCSoft Bitdefender installed? So my thoughts are you could achieve this with a saved asset search here. So I believe if you go ahead and just do a new search, I believe that you can search like for missing so missing antivirus, I believe, or missing MCSoft, missing Bitdefender.
Yep.
So I think you could do that through saved asset search from the RMM page.
Nice. Those checkboxes. How new are those checkboxes? I don't remember those being there.
They're pretty new. Yeah, they're pretty new. If we run one script on multiple machines, can we have a way to check results on one screen report without having to go into each PC to see results? I don't necessarily think we have a report right now, but we do have a notification setting in your admin section if you want, like, basically like you could do an in-app alert or something if the script fails. So you might be able to kind of achieve some, grand scheme results through that notification setting. Let's see here, what else? For customer portal, if we can help to translate, that could be nice. I have some mess between English and French labels, like email. Yeah, we're always open to improving any of the customer portal language based upon different locales. So absolutely, we're definitely open to take a look if we can improve that.
We got one here. Can we see asset hard drive free space anywhere instead of just waiting to get a low space report? Yeah, I mean, Crystal, if you want to go into one of the devices or the assets, and then click that view details modal, that might be what they're asking for.
This one?
Yeah, the view all. Yeah. So if you click the view all thing, you can see. Oh yeah, it doesn't show. You're looking for like space used. Probably. Yeah, we could add that. It's not in there right now. Yeah. Okay. I'll write that down.
And then Jens was asking, so I have, let me just go to a ticket really quick. On my tickets, he was asking here, how do I get this, this flow, like these widgets up here? That's a setting in the admin section. So if you just go to your admin section and ticket preferences, let's go ticket preferences, and then I believe, let's see here, because I don't think it comes by I don't think it's on by default. I can't remember the exact setting it is. I think it's, let's see, enable, gosh, which one is it called, Ian? I can't remember. Enable.
I always forget too. It's in there. I know it's in there. It's like ticket status something. It's probably under additional settings, yeah. Disable ticket progress widget. I think that's it. But I'm not 100% sure.
That's what it is, Jens. It's this one. I think it comes disabled by default.
Yeah. Yeah, Kevin just pointed out you can see the space used if you open up Syncro Live and you go into Syncro Live under the hard drive section, you can see the space used, but that requires, number one, the machine to be on, and then number two, for you to access it with Syncro Live. So it's not the easiest or most straightforward. One thing from Ken here, I think this already exists, Ken. He's asking for a page where he can see all the templates. So maybe if you can head over to admin and go to the PDF/email templates. So if you go to PDF/email templates, you can see all the different, well, PDF and email templates. And you can go in here and you can customize them. Is that what you're asking for, Ken? We will move on as we wait for him to respond. So, Crystal, you want to take some?
Yes, let's look here. Okay. Well, let me go back over to Q&A. Is SNMP monitoring on the roadmap? I want to be able to monitor specific ports and also devices like printers and UPSs. So I know it's definitely something that we want to have in the future. I don't know if it's scheduled or if we have a specific time frame for it right today, but it's definitely something that we want to have in Syncro, yes. Hosted PBX integration, for example, 3CX. So we have like a bunch of free PBX, and honestly, I have heard, I don't know, I might be incorrect on this, but I have heard that 3CX can be set up using our PBX integration that we have in.
It can, yeah.
Yeah.
It's maybe not what you're thinking of as far as an integration, Jim. What it does is it basically it looks through our database of your customers and can put the caller ID on the phone when it rings, so you can see who's calling. We do also through the Pax8 integration, I think there are some PBX things in there that you can integrate with, which is also a nice follow-up. Somebody asked if we have a Passportal integration. You can integrate Passportal from a billing perspective through Pax8, which is pretty cool. The Pax8 integration is one of our coolest integrations, I think. It basically enables you to buy licenses for various things that you're going to resell to your clients. You know, all cloud things. So Acronis, Datto, Symantec, BitTitan, Passportal, all kinds of things, Cloud Jumper. And then you can automate the billing in our recurring invoices. So if you buy another license for Office 365, it can automatically increment the line item by one in our recurring invoices. So yes, you can do a Passportal integration for that through Pax8. If you have any particular things you'd like to see for that integration, other than that, feel free to send us an email and let us know. Let's see, trying to see what else.
The question was, when scheduling customer-facing reports, is it possible to use variables to make different custom text for each scheduled report? The one thing I was going to bring up here, a couple things. So when you go to, you know, create or run a report and have it scheduled, there's a couple things just to note here. One is you can, you know, you can include any additional customized text here just to help explain the report if you'd like. And then when you schedule it, you know, you can use this email body. I can double check this for you, but I'm fairly certain you can use our tags in this email. Do you know by chance for sure, Ian? I can test
I
it.
don't know for sure. It's a good question.
Okay. All right, we can find out for you, but there's two, you know, there's two spots in the report where you can customize, you know, what the customer is seeing. Is there any way to automatically place a Syncro support shortcut on a user's desktop? So not a shortcut, however, the system tray icon by default, when you install Syncro, you can customize, upload your own icon, and a right click will allow your customers to submit a ticket, but there wouldn't be an actual shortcut, no.
You could script that though. You could have a script that you put in your policy that when you it would be in the policy section. I forget exactly what it's called, where when you change the policy to this policy or when you create a new asset, it would run the script. I think it's called a setup script. You could do that, and you could have a script, and all it does is create a desktop shortcut and link it to the Syncro executable. That would be probably a one-liner, so you could totally do that.
What are my options for remote desktop support other than Syncro Live? We have integrations with both Screen Connect and TeamViewer. They're phenomenal. But for example, so how it works is if you have integrated with either Screen Connect or TeamViewer, you have an additional option on a policy level to enable that. And then when you're actually looking at an asset, it's super slick. Like, so where you can use the quick view modal here to use Syncro Live. It doesn't replace Syncro Live, but there'll be a drop down, and so you have the option to either use Syncro Live or whatever, you know, the other third-party tool that you brought over. Let's see. What else do we got here? Okay, seeing a few just. I'm looking back to see if I skipped any.
There's one question here about what's the timeline for SNMP monitoring. We still need to figure out if we want to build it or integrate. I think that there are some really good SNMP monitoring solutions out there. If you have a suggestion for someone we should integrate with, then we will gladly take that. It is one of the most requested features, so it is very much on our minds. Yeah, PRTG is one that people recommend. Alvic, there's a couple other ones. Dilmats, I think that's how you pronounce it. So There are lots of different solutions out there that people have recommended, and I think we've pushed SNMP back because we felt like there were other higher priority things. SNMP is becoming one of the higher, as we ship more things out, SNMP is becoming more high priority. So it's definitely on our minds. We know we need to solve that for folks. So we will. Let's see. Anything else we're seeing here?
We don't have any plans for Splashtop at this time. Is there an option for remote desktop via TeamViewer or other for a system which is not an asset?
Well, I'm not sure I understand that question. Or other system which is not an asset? Why wouldn't you want it to be an asset? Like I get it if in other RMMs they charge for endpoint, right? So you have a negative repercussion for adding more assets because you have to pay for them. But in Syncro, it's like there's not really a downside to adding another asset. So you might as well add it and have the system info and everything in there. You can have a policy that basically does nothing, and then just use the TeamViewer integration. Unless maybe I'm missing something and there's a reason why you wouldn't want it to be an asset.
Oh, TeamViewer on XP, Vista, etc.
Oh, ugh. I don't know what to say. No, there's no option there. I guess you could just do it through TeamViewer. You can send them the link, but we're never gonna support Vista or XP. So, yeah. Another question here. Is there an integration plan for Malwarebytes or WebRoot? WebRoot is in progress. I think it's in testing right now. So yes, that will be out. We do have something in the works with Malwarebytes, similar to like the Huntress integration. So yeah, both of those are in the works.
And Miles has a question on the transition from Kabuto to Syncro. So I can actually, I can reach out, Miles, or you can shoot me an email just at crystal@syncromsp.com. I can send you some information. We can perform the migration for you, or to answer your question specifically though, yes, you would have to uninstall Kabuto to install Syncro.
Yeah, but we have like a migrator. So we can, assuming that your Kabuto devices are like checking in, we can convert them into Syncro agents essentially. So hopefully you wouldn't have to do any of that uninstall and then reinstall work. ESET or Acronis integration. I know there is I thought we had an Acronis script in the community scripting library. I could be wrong. No, we don't. Where was I? I thought we had Acronis. No, we don't. There's yeah, I don't think we have anything with Acronis or ESET. So yeah, I've been in contact with ESET before and tried to get them to write a script, but yeah, nothing at the moment. You could easily script a monitoring script there and get alerts when ESET finds something. It would be pretty easy to make a deploy script too. That's basically what we have with Huntress. And Kevin wanted me to point out, and this is a good time to do so, that if you are considering writing any scripts, we just yesterday released a 20-minute video that goes over all the scripting basics with some examples, and it's super cool and like has some fun little ideas in there that help you make more money and hopefully that will help folks. It's on our YouTube channel. I think we also posted it on Facebook. And it's also in the Help Center, if I am correct. Maybe we haven't gotten to that yet, but it's definitely on the YouTube channel.
And let's see, Eric, we do have a migration path from Atera, so we can import customers, contacts, tickets, and we also have a custom script that you can run to migrate your endpoints as well. So happy to get you information on that. The other thing Eric wanted to know, how do I view RMM agents by customer? So if you're just in like your assets and RMM section, there's a couple ways you can do this, but you could just go, you can start typing your customer, and then you can filter also by asset type. So a Syncro device by default means the agent's installed, so you can drill down that way, and then you get a list of just their managed devices per customer. And then, does ticketing billing integrate with QuickBooks Online? So yes, we do have an integration with QuickBooks Online. So any invoice that's generated in Syncro will automatically sync over to QuickBooks Online. Any edits or anything like that to the invoice in Syncro will also sync over. The cool thing about QuickBooks Online is that payments actually sync both ways. So you could receive payment in either Syncro or QuickBooks, and those payments will sync up. So that integration is pretty great, and we keep adding new things to it as well.
We do not have a integration with Cylance. I have talked to those folks at a conference or two. We do have a Sentinel-1 script in the community scripting library. I think somebody recently submitted an install Cylance script, but we haven't reviewed it yet. So there's no like official integration, but you might see some stuff in the community scripting library.
We don't have a built-in network discovery tool. However, we do have an MSI installer, so you can deploy through group policy using that installer. So if you go and grab an RMM agent installer, you can choose the MSI option here. And sync the invoice number to QuickView. Yeah, and it's not going to sync the invoice number, or it's going to basically, it's going to generate Syncro's number.
I got a question here about the ticket status column. Could you go to the
oh yeah,
tickets
I was going to go back to that.
So if I get what Ken is saying, he has the status column, but he's not seeing anything in the rows for status, like it's empty. So we have the status here for ours. I don't know why you wouldn't see something there. I'm not aware of like a bug report there. But you can see what we're seeing on our screen. Oh, this is invoice, not tickets. Okay. You want to head over to the...
This here?
Oh, got it. You're going to see tags there. It'll show like if the ticket, if it has an open ticket or something like that, or if it's been paid, things like that. So it's not, yeah, it's only going to show anything notable. If you just have, it might be a little confusing. It works a little differently than the tickets one. Let's see. Does Syncro have a network discovery tool for installing agents? Not yet. So the way that you would currently install Syncro is either using the exe, which is like just kind of the normal way. It also has command line parameters. So if you have an existing scripting engine you're moving over from, you can run the executable using those command line parameters and it will be silent. There's also an MSI, which you can use to push out via group policy. So you have a couple different options there. We also have a universal installer script, so it should hopefully, if you ask support for that script, make it very easy for you to migrate all of your assets using your existing RMM's scripting agent in one fell swoop. It kind of like magically pulls your customers in, and you can ask for help there. If you're trying to move over from another RMM, we can usually make it pretty easy.
And then, okay, so the search all things, they're saying if you search a server and you have multiple assets with servers, okay, it's not showing the customer's name. So yeah, that sounds like just kind of a UI feature request. That seems reasonable. So you could see what customer it belonged to.
Sure.
And then any plans to include new fonts in Syncro? We get, I think a high request is like rich text to be added to like tickets and that kind of thing. And I know that, I think that's definitely something that, we'd like to look into. And then as far as any plans like fonts in Syncro, I think I saw this earlier. I think I saw this higher up. Do you mean maybe like more customization to the portal? Is that what you were referring to? Like being able to customize those texts? Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, I think that we do have plans to be able to add maybe some customization as far as a logo to the customer portal and that kind of thing. But I think any feature request like this is worth looking at for sure.
Yeah, I will say, just in terms of like understanding how we think about the feature requests and what we choose to build and prioritize and stuff, we generally, so first of all, we take all this feedback from folks. Like I've already written down some feature requests from you guys from this webinar, and we're taking that in lots of ways. When you send us tickets, when we see stuff on social media, when you email us individually, we record all that stuff, and then we use that information to figure out what's like most demanded, and then within there are hundreds of things that are most demanded, so just for context, and then we prioritize the stuff that we feel is going to actually make your lives better, so like make you more profitable, for example, so reduce your costs or increase your revenue, and so those things always take priority. I think like just for the sake of transparency, like a thing like choosing fonts, like it probably, like I'm down to do it, but it probably isn't going to make you more profitable, so there's like that probably will get pushed back, just as an example. Whereas putting your logo on the customer portal could actually make you look more professional. Maybe they'll like be more likely to pay their invoices there, things like that. So I could totally see us doing the logo part. When will the Zapier add-on be out of beta? It's only, I think it's only in beta because of the way that Zapier does their integrations. There's like this certification process. I think I'm recalling this correctly, but my memory is notably bad. When you have an integration with Zapier, they have to go through like a certification process where they look at your app and they test it and stuff. I think we just haven't done that, and that's the only reason it's not out of beta. We can totally do it. It's not in beta because we think it's super buggy or something. Lots of people use it, and it's been used for years.
And then Kevin, just in regards to customer-facing reporting and things like that, that's something that we are actively working on. We're adding reports that are customer-facing. We're improving on the ones that we have. We've considered a couple things. We do have the integration, or I guess the advanced plan offers Domo, which does have some more advanced reporting options, but this is absolutely something that we are actively looking into. And we're always open to feedback on this too. So if you have specific examples of what you need in a report, we're happy to hear about that. Did we Is there anything else? I know we're kind of winding down on our hour here. Let's see. Just want to make sure that we didn't forget any. I definitely might have forgot some. But from here, I think, you can absolutely, if there's anything that comes to mind once we end this webinar, my email is crystal@Syncro MSP. So if you think of anything after the fact or have any feature requests or feedback for us, don't hesitate to reach out. But again, we have so much fun doing these webinars, and we'll just continue to do these. So I appreciate your time, and thank you for kind of carving out your morning to hang out with us. And we'll see you probably another 4 to 6 weeks.
Thanks, folks. See you later.